Well, hello again, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Waterboro. This is No Way. And as promised, I am here to clarify my points and to prove what I'm saying is not a lie, but is facts and truth. See, we'll start off. I just want to show real quick. For those of you that may have read the Smart Shopper, those of you that may have saw Selectman Woodsum's writing in the Smart Shopper that he claimed was his own. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he just rewrote much of this and he put a few things in his words, but all he done was use what Gary Lamb had already created, and then he just was trying to reassure the people that, oh, follow us, we know what's best. And if we all know from in town, following this town hall is not what's best for us. It's what's best for them. It's not what's best for us. And that's so, who's perjuring who? Is Selectman Dwayne Woodsum perjuring Gary Lamb? I would say so, because I don't see Gary Lamb as the person that would perjure anybody. He's going to write what he writes, and that's it. Dwayne Woodsum, on the other hand, well, I'll digress on that guy. So, get rid of this, and let's come back here for now. Nice photoshopping, Dave. Dave Lowe, IT director. Here on their website, of course, I pointed out, welcome to business-friendly town of Waterboro. They're not as business-friendly as the propaganda shows, or the propaganda that they use. They're not as business-friendly as they claim to be. One of the biggest things is, I want to show a clip. I want to show a clip here of, let me see, is it this one? Yes. This here was the selectmen's meeting, as you see, of February 27th. And of course, they're going over things. But what you're going to see here, I'm going to play this clip. I'll stop it a couple times to elaborate on what I see going on that many people in Waterboro don't understand of what's going on. So let's start listening to this so I can clear up what I am being told by Gary Lamb is I'm lying. So let's see.
Isn't that their job?
Pardon me?
Isn't that their job?
Well,
Planning board approves a 5-lot subdivision. Can't they say, and you will have sprinkler systems?
and they do.
They can condition the applicant on
Yeah.
this.
They,
So why would we?
They can condition the applicant on that. It's really a performance-based code that belongs with the building code or the life safety 101 code that the fire department has.
But if I'm in downtown
Some way
South
you can
Waterboro
catch
and there's a hydrant
Yep.
in front of the building, in front of the access road,
Yep.
right? I'm going to say, oh, we're going to put fire suppression in every building?
Some of the buildings you might be required to under the building code. Yeah. Yeah.
so the new state of Maine code amended the requirement for single-family homes to have sprinkler systems again. But our subdivision ordinance gives us 5 requirements for the subdivision to comply to. And you don't have copies of that.
When you say amended, you did not have to have a residential sprinkler system. That's what you mean.
That's correct, in
I
single-family
would
homes.
think a sprinkler system and a wood stove just don't go together in the state of.
Okay, why I'm stopping this here. The state of Maine, the way Waterboro has always done so much in the past, the state of Maine comes up with common sense land use and safety features and building codes and this and that. Waterboro is known for just accepting and adopting whatever the state says without creating their own. The way the state of Maine works is you can either A, adopt what the state puts out, or B, create your own, but under the guidelines of what the state has already created. Okay? But what's wrong with that is in town, the fire department has been the big push for constantly demanding more and more expensive fire suppression. And I'll talk about that in a second. Let's hear some more. And pay attention to what I call the rudeness from this man and this man while the code enforcement officer is trying to relay a point that they don't want to hear.
Maine.
But our ordinance gives,
Well, you wanna talk about driving the cost up
See?
of a
A
house?
house, yeah. I mean,
25 cents a square foot.
you take a wood stove that's smoking, it's gonna set that sprinkler system off, or if you get, my living room will be 92 to 96 degrees when I got the wood stove wide open at 10 below zero. And,
Like my father.
I can warm my house up, but that would set a sprinkler system off.
Yeah.
And
All
there,
right, but we didn't take any action relative to that, right? You're
No,
not asking us,
the
right?
issue with the planning board was.
We were lazy.
You know, the cisterns, which we have 12 throughout town, the fire department never knows if there's water in those cisterns until they hook a pumper up to it. If there's no water, then it's too late. So
Then-
the
then
fire
I would
department's
think-
using,
I would think that they have the ability to go around and inspect those.
well, they do, and that's a resource that they don't want to spend money on, and I'm just telling you what the fire
And
department's
then they
telling me.
run the risk.
and they're the ones that wanted these in.
Do they worry
On
about
the
a
planning
fire?
board.
They worry about a fire pond working?
They do worry about a fire pond.
Okay, so why wouldn't they worry about the cisterns working?
Well, and they do. They're just trying to shift the cost burden to the
Well,
developer.
that's a whole nother discussion.
It is. Okay.
It's well-documented discussion that's gone on for years.
Yeah, they've always wanted the applicant to bear.
I'll make a motion to table that to another time.
Fine, if somebody wants to second that, we will.
Second that.
So I'm going to stop that right there because what that has just shown us is here a few years back, because of the ongoing 25 years of an incompetent, inadequate water district entity in town, our fire department has spearheaded non-stop attacks on all development in Waterboro. What they were talking about with a subdivision, if you go into an area, say, of 10 acres, and you want to put 8 homes in there, the fire department will be right there during the planning board meetings and the permitting and everything, and the fire department is going to start demanding, like they always do, massive fire suppression within these subdivisions. You know, would you want to come in and buy a home or have a home built in Waterboro when the fire department is going to force you to put a sprinkler system in your personal residential home? You know the damage that can cause? Dwayne Woodson made a good point. He's talking about his wood stove. I'm talking about the person that accidentally starts a grease fire on his stove, and within the minute it takes to get a cover on it or put it out, it blows off one of the sprinkler heads. You know how much damage a sprinkler system can do to the inside of your personal home? I guess you won't have to worry about, rebuilding your home from a fire, but you'll have to start putting in, what, $5, $10, $15,000 claims to redo the sheetrock and the flooring and the ceiling because, well, you were forced to put a sprinkler system into your, and you know who spearheads that all the time in town? Oh yeah, our fire department. Who put the big cost of the 12 cisterns that are now in town onto the developer in the area or a business? Oh yeah, the fire department. And once they push that expense onto the developer and the people, and you see it's an ongoing constant problem. But as soon as there's too much negativity coming out against the fire department, Dwayne Woodsum shuts it off. We can't be bad-mouthing the fire department. Well, of course not. They're raping us, and you're part of it. But I digress. So now we see, now we have the cisterns that were forced onto the people by the fire department. And they're inadequate. We have no idea if there's any water in them or not. And now the fire department don't even want to monitor them. They force the people to put them in. And now they don't even want to monitor them. They don't even want to, they want the town to tax you to have somebody go out and monitor their cisterns for the fire department. So you see how this goes. They admitted it. It's right here, ladies and gentlemen. These are the things that they know you don't watch. You don't know that this is online. You don't know that after these meetings, they're put on here in archive, and you can watch them at any time, and you can see the problems we have. But yet, when they want to start pulling this Malone property thing, well, then all of this gets thrown out the window, and all this gets talked around. See, one thing about this Malone property, before I go on, I got one more clip here of this town meeting, of this selectmen's meeting, and this is part of the budget talks and everything, but I want you to hear this in Gary Lamb's own words. So here we go.
An election update, I just want to let you know from Christine, nomination papers for local offices will be available March 15th. They would have to be returned 45 days later on April 30th. We have one 3-year selectman term vacancy, a 2-year school board vacancy, and a 3-year school board vacancy, and one 3-year water district vacancy. As many people know, there's a special election scheduled for March 27th on the purchase of the Malone property. Both the selectmen and myself have recommended that we pursue this property. It's out behind JD's Package Store and uphill of that. And one of the main reasons that there was so much interest in doing that is because for fire suppression, we need a new water tank. We only have one in town, and that needs to be have some maintenance that it's never had. So this property has an excellent site up on the hill for a water tank that could be done cheaper than a steel tank. The price came down significantly when the selectmen looked at this a couple years ago, maybe more. It was at $375 or $400, I think, and this was at $275. And obviously, once public water goes in there, and the water district does intend to do this, the property would be more valuable, and we could sell it off as individual parcels or an entire parcel, whatever the voters as well as the selectmen would want to do. I want it to be known that the water district and their customers will be paying for all labor and materials associated with the actual tank construction and the water line down to Route 5. And there's going to need to be some discussions and some negotiations between the water district and the selectmen for who will pay for the road construction, how much would be contributed by each side, and where the actual water line would be located, etc. On Facebook and email and even a few walk-ins, voters are asking about return on investment. Why are the taxpayers doing this and not the water district? That's a perfectly logical question. I think everybody realized that we're probably a little more nimble in being able to get money than the water district. They would have to go out and borrow it, and it would take them a lot longer. We have a healthy fund balance, and we have the ability to ask the voters to purchase this sooner. And We would hopefully have some more information about these financial details before the election on March 27th. So that's why I'm suggesting a week from tonight, we have a workshop that is both water district and budget workshop related. And there are more Malone fact sheets on the table here that are available in my office. Since absentee ballot voting has started, we don't have them out as.
Okay, that's enough of that. What I was saying, this is Dave Benton. As you see, he's got no reason to be there during this meeting, nothing that's going, but this is how he is. This is where he always is. He's always right there beside his masters. That's the problem I have with Dave Benton. He is not a qualified person to run our public works, be in control of our parks and our recs and our transfer station and our road construction and everything that goes on in public works. He is not qualified. He only does what this man right here forces him to do, or tells him to do. Not force him, just tells him to do, and he does it. Because he's not smart enough to come up with it on his own. Don't let this man right here fool you. This man can be removed from office if these 5 right here would do it. But why? Because then Dennis Abbott would have to be a real selectman after 40 years instead of just the face of stupidity. But I digress. Now, the facts within this whole Malone property, you heard him right there say, number one, this entity has been incompetent in their maintenance. If you look through the state of Maine, ladies and gentlemen, all towns that have municipal water of around this size, they only have 1 water tank. I grew up in a town that only has 1 water tank. All these years later, 20, 30, 40 years later, it still only has 1 water tank. There are ways, there are competent ways to do what needs to be done. But now, well, because of our incompetence of, I guess, just this PUC entity, now the town is going to start playing corporate welfare. In the email, oh, rest assured, they will compensate us for it. How? How are they going to compensate us for it? When we're looking for people that are not in the water district to okay the town to allow the water district to put $1 million expense onto the handful of customers they have in town. Do the handful of customers in town really want their bills to go up when it's, you started right off, fire suppression? How many more times are we going to hear this malarkey of fire suppression? We keep hearing, and basically it comes down to the fire department demanded cisterns because we need an adequate fire suppression system in town. And oh, well, it failed, it's no good, and we don't even want to maintain them, but now we need a tank. We need to up this water. What did this town do before the fire hydrant showed up? Well, there's big lakes everywhere. There's other fire departments. There's many fire ponds. See, it's just, in my opinion, they're half-truths, but a half-truth to me is a lie. It's an outright lie. You're deceiving the people for an agenda. And I know what the agenda is. I know how these people work. They're not going to say it right here because there will be some little drone, some little selectman drone to table it. That's what they're known for. Instead of dealing with it properly and taking care of issues that need to be taken care of for the good of the townspeople of Waterboro, they just table it and screw us again. Ladies and gentlemen, I bought my house in Waterboro 20 years ago. I was paying $985 a year in tax. I am now just over $2,500 a year in tax. And I have nothing else. We have no more amenities here. We have no town services to speak of. They just keep taxing us and taxing us and taxing us, and the school taxes us, and the county taxes us, and the town taxes us. And the school's just as big a problem as anything else is. This is how they do not care about the taxpayer. Well, now here again, our fire department is right in the middle of demanding great big taxes, great big water tower and pipes. And they're even, why should we even have to, we'll buy the property. You put your tank on it. You hook into the town line. You do the groundwork and the road work. Why should we even have to even look at it? Oh, but here again, this is for the good of everybody. No, it's not. I don't have town water. I'm not hooked up to it. There's no fire hydrant close to here. Why would I care? You're going to have to lug water if there's a fire here anyway. So what's the difference? Oh, yeah. Well, that's not the truth they want you to know. They just want you to okay to put the large $1 million expense of a new tank and everything onto the poor, struggling water district citizens. I don't think they really understand that how their bill's going to go up again. Their water's not going to be any better. They're not going to have any better of a water supply. But they're going to have a big expense so that the incompetence of the water district can finally start trying to be competent. After you spend the money and it's like a big, like the cistern, and you take the cisterns to the fire department now and they're going to shrug their shoulders and go, oops, we were wrong, but it's too late. You see, the fire department's a problem. A big problem in town. We're sick of dealing with these people because there's no common sense reality in anything they do. And that's part of the Firemen's Association of Maine, the big lobby group up there in Augusta that, oh yeah, your dues and subscriptions that you pay for the firefighters associate with. Oops. Am I lying again, Gary? No, I'm not. I have no reason to lie. But my thoughts on all this, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on. You see right here, last summer, when Gary put out his Crossroads, we should form a community center steering committee now and take a year or two to learn from the community about what such facility, blah, 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 blah. Okay? This is their underlying agenda, ladies and gentlemen. This is why they want the Malone property. They're going to go out here for the next 2 years and they're going to start convincing people that we need this big Taj Mahal of community centers that we already turned down once. They have spent enough money in town that the little library we do have could have been rebuilt 5 times. That's how much money has been spent over the years in town by special interest groups and the Board of Selectmen and other town agencies to try to convince the people we needed to spend $2.4 million on the Taj Mahal of Library Community Center. They're already starting, they want to start steering the people towards it. Ladies and gentlemen, you give them this property, and this property will not be used as the 2020 committee identified the property to be excellent for. We told them to go in and look at this because with this property in this area, with the availability of the power and yes, the availability of close to the municipal water source that's there, great for commercial development. Commercial development. Commercial development that will create tax-based revenue for the town. Commercial development that could start giving jobs to people in town. But no, I will guarantee you, if you give them this property, this community center, which it will be nothing but a big expense onto the taxpayers for something that we do not need. There is no use for this stuff, this community center. There's no use for it. We don't have functions in town. The functions we have in town, we don't even fill the areas where they have the function. Oh, but we have to what? Walk around with a big ego claiming about how good we are as you bankrupt your citizens? The people that live in the outskirts of town, ladies and gentlemen, they keep forcing this onto us in here. Putting buildings in toxic waste pits and swampland and places that just are not fit for development. Why? Because North Waterboro and places like that, they all want these amenities and they all want this stuff, but not in my backyard. We saw that with the Dollar General. We had a Family Dollar, but yes, it burned and it's going to be rebuilt. But you see, Dollar General was smart. They didn't bow down to the Waterboro elite and put a Dollar General right beside the Family Dollar. Dollar General, no. I want to come over here 12 miles away on the other side of town where we can tap into the people from Limerick and North Waterboro and we can tap into that business. We don't need to start pushing and competing against another store right beside us. You see, but that's what they keep trying to do. So in the end, nobody makes it. They're stealing each other's customers, and in the end, we end up with nothing. That's happened more times than none, ladies and gentlemen. They don't deserve to take this without telling you what their plans are in the future. You heard exactly right out of the horse's mouth itself. Oh, well, that will be determined by the selectmen and the voters. It's just like this. Are you getting the full truth of everything that's going on and the big problems we have constantly with our fire department and the 25 years of incompetence by this so-called entity? Ladies and gentlemen, it's just one deception after another. At some point, the common sense people need to stand up to this. We need to vote this down for one reason other than you're not being upfront and honest with us. Half-truths are not transparency. Half-truths are propaganda. And for those of you that don't know, propaganda is what Adolf Hitler used in Germany to kill 6 million Jews, to create a crisis, find the perpetrator of that crisis, and then turn the people loose on those they deem to be at fault. This propaganda is so you don't know what the left hand is doing while the right hand is presenting all of this truth, transparency. There's half-truths. We need that discussion. Why do we continue to be put on the hook, and why are we continuing to support this fire department who was doing nothing but harming Waterboro, hurting Waterboro, fight everything that goes on in Waterboro because they can't get their way? Well, maybe if these people lived in town and had to feel the pain of what they do to us, then they would have some compassion for the people they're screwing. And that's the blunt language. If that hurts you, Gary, I'm sorry. Grow a thicker set of skin, buddy. Really. And you can lie to the people and deceive the people all you want, because I will be right here to give them the rest of the information that you don't want out. We didn't want the cisterns. We didn't need the cisterns. Oh, but we got them anyway, forced onto us by the fire department and the little coercion that goes on, and basically the buddy-buddy system within our town. The same way David Benton got his job, and yes, the same way Dave Benton got his job. We need qualified people, not friends. You see, don't let them. This will come forth, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye. This steering committee comes up, and this is exactly, I will guarantee you within 2 years, that's where the selectmen start talking about, oh, well, we could build it. We own the Malone property now. We could build it right there. And they'll be able to tell you all the great pros of putting it there on that land, even though I tried warning you. This will just be another town amenity that grows government, grows your taxes, and he admitted it right here. Our proposed tax increment finance district. What are you trying to finance? Yourself or true businesses? Let's hear it. Not only what you want to tell the people, be upfront, Gary. Be upfront and honest. If you have any form of agenda that this property is going to end up being with this, and you're going to go on for the next 2 years while you try to propagandize this crap that we've already turned down once, then be honest and be upfront and be a man, not a mouse. Hold them accountable, ladies and gentlemen. Stand up. Let your voice be heard. Vote no until they come up with the truth. Not just, well, and at that point, great, oh gee, a great investment, and then that can be sent off in parcels or whatever. That'll be up to the selectmen. Have the selectmen done anything good for us? We put Tim Neal in there, and he said he was going to fight against this buddy-buddy system. And what did he do? He went in there and sat down, and now he's just a yes man. Just like I knew he would be. It's time we hold our government accountable. This is America. This is not communist China. This is America. And we need to let them know that we will not bow down and just accept everything they spew without question while they continue to feed you with half-truths and fear-mongering and tug on your heartstrings. Our water district is incompetent, always has been, because they won't take it over. Our fire department is very, very citizen unfriendly. They don't care. When they live in another town, they do not care how you are taxed, raped, and treated by them. They don't care. It's time we hold them all accountable. We turned down all their great demands at the fire station, but what happened? You didn't realize. I showed you yesterday or the other day in the other video. They got what? $400,000 worth of work anyway, and they just slid it in a different way. $65,000 to put some insulation in the ceiling? Boy, somebody's getting rich off in the public sector now, ain't it? And it sure the heck ain't us. It's pathetic, ladies and gentlemen, and there always is the same excuse. Just like Gary Lamb run his mouth to me. He went through the process. It's a rigged process, and we know it is. If you put out an ad for a cow, you're looking to buy a cow, and you don't tell the people you're looking to buy a dairy cow because you already have one dairy cow, but what shows up is a bunch of livestock for beef, for food, and say one, maybe two more dairy cows. So of course, then you just look at the 3 applicants. Well, you already had your one dairy cow that you wanted anyway. Oh, this is the one. We know how that works. We're not all fools, Gary. A rigged system is a rigged system. So why don't you, if you're going to come to me that you're a committed Christian, then stop acting like Satan's minion and start telling the people as Jesus would tell the people. The truth hurts, but it needs to be said. And I don't care what kind of repercussions will come on me for doing this. I really don't. Because I stand with God and God's righteousness, and I stand with the truth, not a half-truth and a deception to deceive. It is not our place to perform corporate welfare because you overtaxed us, and you continue to overtax us. And the school continues to overtax us while they dumb down our kids and create heathens. We are fighting back. Donald Trump was not the answer. Donald Trump was a warning. We're coming for you all. So hang on. So on that, I'd like to say,
I don't know what you had in mind, but here we stand on opposing sides. Let's go to war. Let's go to war!
ladies and gentlemen, this is no way